And you and your firm are okay doing the month-to-month indefinitely?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I'll think about it.
I was under the impression that your contract was still in effect, and then when last meeting you said that it wasn't. I didn't know.
Yeah, I haven't. I hadn't looked at it in since I prepared it and we started working for the village. So I knew we were approaching the the year mark, or if not passing the year mark. So so anyway, I hadn't really focused on it significantly, but I'll certainly I'll circulate it to everybody, and then we can certainly talk.
Any other new business?
But if you're asking for an increase, don't bother. We'll just keep going for.
That's even better. I like the sound of that.
There's better alternatives.
Public comment? Nothing? Oh, okay.
I really don't understand the business with the executive session and the police. I mean, are you really going into executive session for a code of conduct?
No.
No, it sounded like that.
Tonight we're not.
Oh, I know you're not tonight, but what are you going into executive session for? I mean, if you're interviewing somebody or considering somebody's salary or something like that, I understand, but I have no clue what you're doing from what you said. Other than I thought you were doing a code of conduct either this big or this big.
No, there's been.
I mean, I think we don't need to know the details
Sure,
of what
sure,
we
sure.
need to have some idea.
No, just there's been questions raised about management styles, personnel styles, the interview process, how we hire,
okay,
and
fair
it's just been in code of conduct. It's
Kind of emanated from that.
yeah,
but
basically all of the things that were discussed in executive session have led to, we need a better set of their SOPs, code of conduct, so we can better manage or understand how we're managing the police department. So that's basically where it came from.
And in the same vein, you received a letter from a law firm that I can't even remember the 6 names that go with it, but you haven't read it yet, but you're going to read it and you're going to go into executive session with it. Is that right? Or you're not releasing it? Well, what's the deal with this letter?
It just came in. I haven't read it. I didn't want to discuss it openly because I haven't read it. It is attorney-client privilege, so we don't have to read it publicly. But
They are our lawyer.
yeah, it's the attorney at the last week's meeting. There was a concern raised by the planning board about the Butterfield project and the adoption of the B4A, and
Which seemed to be just an absolute pig's breakfast.
well,
But that aside,
yeah,
go
I mean,
ahead. Yeah.
neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But the question that's been raised is there are members of the planning board that felt that they would be able to address particular aspects of the site plan of the Butterfield project during site plan
Because it was a concept plan, right? The concept. The
I'm not
buzzword
even
being
going
concept here, but okay.
Not even going to talk about
Okay,
whether it was
all right,
a
we won't
concept
go
plan
into
or
that.
not. But the question that had emanated was, does the planning board have the authority to deal with their concerns about mass and scale?
And whose law firm was this?
This is Wormser, Kiley.
But I mean, I don't want to know the name. I'll never remember 2 of them.
But the planning board
Is this the planning board's law firm?
This is the attorney that was
This
hired
Georgiana
for,
somebody?
yeah, Anna Giorgio,
Anna
for
Giorgio?
the Butterfield project. So the concerns were raised by the planning board. They were forwarded to the Board of Trustees.
And she never raised this through the entire process, knowing
I'm-
full well that everyone was saying
Nobody
that
has
there
said,
were,
hold
that
on,
there were.
wait, hold on. You asked the question, I'm going to
Okay,
answer
yeah,
it.
please.
Okay?
Thank you. I'm sorry for
All
interrupting
right.
you.
The mayor and the board asked her to respond to this concern. She's responded in writing. That came in today. Certain board members have seen it. The mayor has not seen it. I had not had a chance to take a look at it. It was forwarded to me after it came in. And so the discussion for the board was, before we release it to the public, which seems to be the desire of the board, which is perfectly fine, they'd like to just look at it first.
But it's the planning board's law firm, right?
It's the attorney that has been hired by the village to assist the planning board in connection with the review of that project.
So it would
It
not
is-
be considered the planning board's law firm. This is
It's an attorney to the village of Cold
to the
Spring.
village, okay.
Yep.
Okay, one last question. I mean, I don't understand what that's all about. It just really seems to be an absolute pig's breakfast, what happened. I mean, everyone was talking about having the opportunity to change this, and here we are. But you don't know, you haven't read it, so you have no idea what she said. The other item that really strikes me is there is no discussion of quality of life here. You're always talking about screwing some nonprofit out of some money, or getting some money from some Aston Villa drivers for nickels and dimes. I mean, the big boat that you spent at least 15 minutes discussing would have brought a sum total of $180 into the village. And there was no discussion about, well, do we want a boat like that here? Is there some prestige in having a boat like that here? Do villagers like that? Will it bring more tourists? You're worried about whether it's at $2.10 or $2 a foot. It just is, you're missing the big picture. You've got to work on the big picture here, and the quality of life here. Not that money isn't important, but it is. But, in the end, where are we? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes?
So it's pretty much on the same topic. I know I may be a little bit in advance. Maybe this is something you're covering in your letter or you're covering next week. But just in case I don't, things get jumped ahead and I don't have a chance to input on zoning amendments. The topic of zoning amendments, whether it's for the Butterfield property or for any property subsequent in the future. I know you're working on this, but this is my thought or my reflections on it, that you have the topic came up as to whether or not, and it's not resolved, will the planning board be allowed to conduct a site plan review? And I only know as much as I know about what a site plan review is and what a planning board is, but it just seems to me that if there is something called a site plan review, and if the planning board normally does that for a structure of some size or value that's going to be impacting this whatever aspect of the village, that should be allowed. And if it's not allowed, or if there's confusion if it's allowed, that the site plan review, it just in my mind that the planning board looks at it, but then also it's a process where it's an open meeting. The public sees and listens to that process and provides input. And if it's been done that way in the past, normally, under most circumstances, then why would it not be done in all current and future circumstances? And if there's vagarity or uncertainty in the wording of the law, or if it's the kind of law that can be interpreted different ways, then I suggest that you do a lot of great deliberation here. So, I mean, you're good at deliberating, that you deliberate whether or not this law has to be clarified, if that means reviewing the law, recoding the law, and, to reflect public thought on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Anything else?
I wish that we could go into the letter this evening, because it would answer a lot of your questions, recommendations, and a lot of Dick's questions and recommendations, but next week.
If there's nothing else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
I'll second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?